This is the first topic of AS2. AS2 module is growing the business. The first half of AS2 is predominantly a marketing theory module, and the second half of AS2 is the financial topics of the course. So this is the first topic of marketing under AS2. I'm going to break this down and look at the spectrum of competition and the degree of competition in the market, also known as market structures. Students have to understand knowledge of competition in the context of all businesses, and basically how competition can influence what the business does or perhaps does not do. They also have to demonstrate a knowledge and understanding of three key concepts: market share, market growth, and market size. Knowing also how to calculate market share and market size, possibly or even market growth, with some data given to you in the context of the case study. We will then go in to look at the market structures, theoretical market structures that may exist in any particular industry, and how these vary in terms of features and characteristics. So, first of all, a market is any situation where buyers and sellers are in contact in order to exchange a good or service between each other, and in exchange for a good or service, there is a flow of money to pay for that good or service. Generally, we think of competitive markets, meaning markets which there are large numbers of producers actively competing with each other in many different ways in order for them to satisfy the wants and needs of a large number of consumers. And back at AS1, we start our AS1 theory looking at competitive advantage using cost advantage and differentiation. So all of that theory about how a business might differentiate itself from its competitors is very much linked again to this area of competition and competitive structures. Basically, the market where the buyers and sellers come together can come in various forms. So it could be physical. You go to a physical place and you purchase something from that physical store and pay money. It can be online, only using any kind of electronic means to select your item and pay using mobile technology to do so. And again, it can also be through voice, like for example, using your phone to order over the phone with someone on the other side. Maybe a robot, but may actually be a human receiving your order and placing your order online. The most important point is that no matter what the means of the exchange, that all markets must have a buyer and a seller. So we're going to look at the three concepts of market size, market growth, and market share. And generally, how this may come up or how you may be asked, it likely will be a 4-mark question, and you would give your definition of the concept, and then you will go to your case study and you will look for an example of where it's expressed something about the size of the business's market, or indeed the share that this particular business owns within its market. Or indeed, it might tell you a little bit about some data given about how the marketplace which the business lives in or exists in has actually grown over a period of time, or indeed is forecasted to grow in the next number of years. In those instances, you would calculate a change and use that figure to demonstrate the application of the concept. So, market size. Market size is the number of individuals in a certain market who are potential buyers and or sellers of your product or service. It is usually measured by sales volume or sales value. And the difference between those two words and calculation is that volume is actually physical units sold, or indeed physical units produced, okay, if you are a manufacturer. And value is the actual physical units multiplied by its worth. In other words, its selling price. So for example, if you produce 30 million televisions and you are selling them at £1 unit, then the value, sales value, is obviously £30 million. So for the value, to calculate size by value, it's simply the number of units or volume by selling price. Market size indicates the potential sales for a firm. So in other words, if there's a potential, okay, of 100 units in the market and you are, okay, contributing 20 million of the 100 million units, then ultimately the 20 million is your volume of sales. If you multiply it by the price you're selling at, that would be your value of sales, okay? But that's not what your percentage of that market is. That's when we lead into looking at actual, okay, market share. Market size is useful to know as it is an indicator of the actual potential sales, okay, in the market, and indeed where then you sit as a firm within that market in terms of what you're currently selling in comparison to what potentially is being sold in that overall marketplace. So it's a good indicator from a business, okay, to know their position, okay, within the market that they exist or live in. And indeed, when you understand your own size of that market, okay, sorry, the share of that market, then ultimately, if you understand your other competitors' share, you also can have a better idea where you are positioned in the market in comparison to your competitors. So really, these three concepts, size, growth, and share, are all measurements to allow a business to understand and analyse better its position in the market, and therefore allowing then for them to make decisions in terms of strategy about what they might have to do to become a more significant or dominant force within their market, or indeed to try to become a market leader as opposed to a market follower. Market growth then, okay, I'll do this concept next, is a percentage change in sales, okay, either volume or value, of the product or service over a period of time. So for example, if we read information that the likely, okay, chances that tourism is going to increase to Northern Ireland because of maybe InvestNI or investing substantial money into an advertising campaign, etc., over a period of 10 years to attract more, and there's more tourism infrastructure is built within the Northern Ireland economy, then the likelihood is, okay, that we would expect, or the general consumer would expect, that there would be an increase, okay, in capacity for tourists to stay within Belfast. So, for example, the capacity of bed and breakfast hotel rooms might grow over that same 10-year period. Okay, so market growth is calculated as a percentage using the formula the market size in a year minus the market size in the previous year, okay, over the original, as we always know to do when we're calculating a percentage, and the original is the market size in the previous year, multiplied by 100. So really what you're doing is you're ascertaining how much the market is growing year on year in terms of capacity. Although market growth is usually a factor that is outside the immediate control of an individual business, businesses do try to identify markets that will increase in size in the future. So they're always watching out, looking at the business analysis and the economic analysis to ascertain which markets are likely to be predicted to grow in size. Okay, a business that is active in a market that has potential for growth or even fast growth is likely then obviously to benefit from this growth, because then they obviously have the attraction of being able to sell more in a growing market. So entrepreneurs are very keen to understand where business growth exists in what industries, because that's the attraction for them as an entrepreneur to maybe go to that industry and set up, because of the potential to earn sales and then ultimately, okay, to earn profits from it. Market growth is useful as it shows those markets are growing. And therefore, okay, if you're a new business and you get to that market quickly, you can actually gain from first mover advantage. If you get in first and you are benefiting from first mover advantage, you are known as an early adopter and you can charge even high prices for your new innovative products. And if your market continues to grow that you exist in, those original firms will have built up obviously expertise and loyalty, etc., in these new industries or growth industries, and therefore they present as a competitive force against others that arrive to the industry much later. The third definition, market share, is calculated also as a percentage, and it basically means the percentage amount of the total market that your business is currently selling, as in what you have ownership for, as said earlier. So it's the sales of your product or your brand, okay, or indeed your company over the total sales of the market that you exist or live in, multiplied by 100. It is an excellent measure of a company's success because it compares your sales automatically with a competitor's sales. A wee bit like market growth, or you sort of have a far better understanding of where you stand in comparison, okay, to your competitors. Managers will always want a high market share because this suggests relatively high sales and therefore potentially higher profits. Relatively higher output is being produced, which can give the business then power over its suppliers, okay, in terms of purchasing economies of scale. And this may enable it to negotiate better deals, okay, and indeed even better quality. And thirdly, managers will want a higher market share because it gives them a higher status in the market. And this may raise the profile of their business, strengthening their brand, and then helping them launch new products easier. However, market share is not always an indicator of success because it is often very difficult to accurately measure the size of any particular market. Another weakness, indeed, of a market share measurement is that a firm's market share may grow simply because competitors have left the market and its sales are just falling more slowly than the sales of other firms. So that's the introduction. Before we go into now the next audio, we'll look at the degree of competition. So to recap, market size, market growth and market share, definition of the three concepts and how they're measured, and the application will be drawn from the case study with respect to either a figure given to you about the firm's position in terms of its sales level or its sales value, or the overall size of the market and its potential to grow maybe by a certain level, or you have to calculate that. And then you can actually calculate the business's own market share by looking at its sales level as a percentage of the total level of sales in the marketplace.